It was announced on social media John Cornyn is officially running for Senate to maintain his Senate seat in 2026. Not a big shocker there. Great coincidence, though. I have a guy who's going to be running against him. Meet Alexander Duncan. Welcome to the James Show, Alex.
Hey, James, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
All right, so no one knows you, and that's all right. We're all going to get to know you together here. Tell me a little bit about yourself and why we should choose you over John Cornyn.
Yes, sir. So my name's Alexander Duncan, and I'm a proud Texan by choice. You know, I was born and raised in California, unfortunately, where I spent 13 years serving as a police officer.
It's not a good sign, sir. It's not a good start.
No, I know. But, you know, I spent 13 years serving as a police officer, and I followed in my father's footsteps. He did that job for 34 years out there. So I come from a hardworking, blue-collar, conservative family, and I was always raised to believe in law and order and the Constitution and the values that built this country. But, you know, unfortunately, as we've seen, the radical left took over California, and they destroyed, you know, essentially everything around me. The crime soared out there. Businesses were shut down. Faith and family were abandoned. And the government just crushed freedom at every chance they got. So it was one of those things. I knew I could no longer raise my family in a state such as that. So, you know, I chose Texas, the state that represents everything that America was meant to be. You know, Texas is strong, independent, self-reliant, and free. And Texas is essentially the last beacon of liberty in this country. You know, a place where faith still matters, where families come first, and where the Constitution isn't up for debate. So I moved here because I believe Texas was the last great hope for America. But after moving here, I quickly learned that even here, the radical left is slowly creeping in, and we have weak Republicans like John Cornyn who are helping them do it. So instead of standing up for Texans, he's voting for gun control. He's refusing to secure the border, and he's sold out to D.C. for a long time. You know, and I just want to tell all the listeners, I didn't come here to change Texas at all. I came here for what Texas represents, and I want to protect that at all costs. So that's exactly where I'm running for Senate. I want to defend our border, and I want to protect our Second Amendment with no compromise. I want to help unleash Texas energy, and essentially I wanted to stop the left from turning the state into the next California.
So on what policy are you different than Cornyn?
Oh, man, where do I start? I'm against all foreign aid, which he loved to approve sending billions of our tax dollars over to Ukraine all these years. I'm anti any gun legislation, which, you know, he backed the Safer Communities Act, which implemented red flag laws, which I'm strictly against. So I would say those are the two biggest. And, you know, now Cornyn's posturing to say he's pro-Trump, but we've known all these years he's been anti-Trump from the very beginning.
So there's another guy who we think might get in the race against John Cornyn. That's Attorney General Ken Paxton. Are you concerned that if he gets into the race, we may split the anti-Cornyn vote and end up with another turd?
You know, that's always something to consider. And if it got to that point, I'm going to actually back the strongest candidate because I want to see Cornyn gone. So if that's Paxton, then I'm going to fully support him when that time comes because we need someone to defeat Cornyn.
Wow. Okay.
Texas values.
So one of the issues that you've been championing online is civil asset forfeiture. I'm not even sure if everybody knows what that means, but, you know, for my little libertarian reading circles, this is something that is a big concern to people who are deep into politics. But for people who only have a shallow look at politics, how do you explain this issue to them?
It's basically government theft. Before you've been convicted of any crime, the government could essentially come in and just take your property and they'll, you know, quote unquote, deem it fruits of whatever crime you're alleged to have committed. But there's no evidence. There's no, you know, court process.
Right. So common people, the way you usually see this is if someone gets arrested and they have cocaine in their pocket, they'll keep their car or they'll keep all the cash they find. And even if they're found innocent, it takes months to get it back. And sometimes they don't always get it back. And so they're really quick to just take private property for people before they go through the due process. And so for a lot of civil libertarians, I mean that with a lowercase L, not uppercase L, Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians, there's a chunk of each one of those parties that's against civil asset forfeiture. Although I suspect for different reasons, we're all kind of on the same side there. What would you do about that, though? How would you stop that?
You know, I think it has to go through the court system first. I think law enforcement needs to show that these items came from, you know, fruits of the crime first before they seize it. If they think your car is paid for by, let's use your example, selling cocaine, well, show us evidence and then seize the car. Don't seize it beforehand and then make, someone that's proven innocent fight to get that back.
Yeah, I like that issue because I have a lot of Democrat friends who agree with that, some Republican friends who agree with that. So that's a good one to start with. Best of luck to you. I don't care who unseats him. The fewer rhinos up in D.C. or Austin, the better. So, Alex Duncan, thanks for introducing yourself to the WBAP audience, and keep us updated on your run.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. If you want to go check out more about him or look at his merch or some of his other issues, DuncanForSenate.com. DuncanForSenate.com.